In the last video, we learned how to graph a piecewise function. Today we are going to do the opposite. We are going to find out the piecewise function when the graph is given. So let's look at this graph, which should look quite familiar after the last video. We see that this is a piecewise function. This is the first piece, this is the second piece, and this is the third piece. Let's find the piecewise function piece by piece. And start with the first piece. We see that the slope of this part of the function is 1, because 2 divided by 2 is 1. And we also see that if we would extend this line, it would go through the origin. The arrowhead indicates that this part goes to -infinity. And the closed circle indicates that -2 is included in the domain. So we can write f of x equals x if x is less than or equal to -2. Let's look at the second piece of our function, f of x. This is simple. This is just a part of the constant function 3. So we can write a 3 here. If we would graph the constant function 3 without restrictions, it would look like this. We see an open circle here, which means that -2 is not included in the domain. And we see a closed circle here, which means that 2 is included in the domain. So x is greater than -2 and less than or equal to 2. Our last part of our function f of x has a slope of, let's see, when we go 1 unit to the right, we have to go 2 units down to hit the graph. So the slope is 2 over 1, which is 2. But be careful, the slope is negative because the graph of this piece is decreasing. So the slope of this piece of our function f of x is -2. Let's say this is a straight line. What else do we need to describe a straight line, or in other words, a linear function? We need the y-intercept, right? So when we go 1 unit to the left and 2 units up, we end up at 4. And when we go 1 more unit to the left and 2 units up, we end up at 6 on the y-axis. So if the graph would go on forever, it would intersect the y-axis at 6. So we can write -2x plus 6. Again, -2 is the slope and 6 is the intersection with the y-axis. We also see that 2 is not included in the domain, and that this piece of our function f of x goes on forever to infinity. So we can write for the domain x is greater than 2. Now we have all 3 pieces of the function f of x written in function notation, which in total represents our function f of x. And we are done with finding out the piecewise function notation by its given graph. If you like my videos, like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching and happy learning, everyone.